the thermostat, you're going to be fine. So Dave's going to cover a couple other things here.
So one of the things to go over too is the humidity. Basically, just you want to keep it not as humid as possible, but 60% humidity or so, give or take a few degrees on that. They like it nice and humid. They just like they need that moisture. That's the main one of the things that they like is the moisture with it. Some of the times you'll open it up. Actually, my pastel clown that we'll show a little bit later. A lot of times we open up the tub and she's actually curled up inside of the water dish, just laying there. And at first it kind of scared us because that was the first snake we ever had that did that. So, and she gets really cold. They're actually, supposed to be a lot warmer animals, and it did scare us a little bit, but we just found out that's just what she likes to do. Another thing too, if you see that, I'd check them, start getting really in there, looking at their scales to see if you see any black dots, because that's mites. That's one thing that they start crawling in the water dishes a lot to try to soak it out because they're itching and they can't do much about to help that. So just you do see them in there, kind of curled up in there, spend a lot of time in the water dish. Do check them out just to make sure that they're all right. Next part is the substrates. There's a lot of different substrates out there. The one that you guys have mostly probably heard of is Chip, and that's from
No, chips are on company.
Oh, okay. So I mean, it's just Pro Cocoa is another one. That's what we're going to start using at some point. It's just it's a little bit cheaper and it's the same exact product, so it works just fine. And Reptile Prime.
Reptile Prime. That's a Brian Marshak owns that company.
That's the one. So they're all the same thing. It's just a cocoa-based product. And then a lot of people that you'll see, especially in terrariums, will put the newspaper down that's on there. That is acceptable too. We just don't like to do that. We like to give them more of the feel of being out in nature and stuff. It makes them feel more at home. So you already went over the water dishes. So one thing I want to go over was shedding. They do it a lot. I don't know how.
No, most of ours go about every 5.5, 6 weeks.
So about every 5 to 6 weeks, you can see them start to shed. That's when they get the most aggressive. Most of you guys know if you're breeding or have the snake, that's when they can't see. You see the eyes go really dull and like a bluish tint to them. That means they're pretty much blind. They can't see. So that's when you want to kind of be a little bit more weary when you're opening up and messing with them, because they will strike because they have no idea what's going on at that point. So on top of that too, when they do shed, you might see some pieces left on them. That's the part where the humidity comes into play. When if it's not humid enough in there, it can't actually help it's kind of like when you get a sunburn almost. It starts to feel, it's always going to be, it's kind of moist when you're touching it. It's the same thing with snakes. They need to try to get that off there. If you have problems with it coming off of there, a few tricks and tips for that is basically you can soak them in water for a half hour to an hour, not hot water, but some warm water to help them get off there. You can take it's not working. That too, yeah. Take a paper towel, get it wet, wring it out, lay it in there. They'll run across it for a half hour to an hour. You can also try to help them a little bit once they do get moist. Kind of take one of those like thumb protectors, like the latex thumb protector. Kind of run your finger over to try to help get it off of there. And a stuck cap. That's not something I've dealt with. I think you have before. Their eyes will get stuck in there, and they can't actually get. It's the cap over their eye that they need to shed off. Sometimes it'll get stuck. That's something that you do want to take to a professional too if it can't get off. You guys can bring it down to us. We can hook you guys up to where to go, or just give us a call anyway. We have run into it a couple times. I think you can help us one time like that. I think something.
No, actually, a girl contacted us that had a snake with a stuck eye cap.
Okay.
And I referred her to one of the vets in town.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, it gets to the point that it'll damage them and actually hurt them really bad if you don't. So contact us. We can, at that point, hopefully we'll start figuring out how to take care of that ourselves. So we want to get a vet bill to go with that. But if not, we'll send you to a vet or who we use to send them out.
We actually have a customer who's a vet tech, and so I just shoot her a quick text. She actually met them down here, fixed it, didn't cost away anything. So
the last thing I kind of want to go over is the feeding guidelines. As you can see, that's basically what we do is we breed for the rats and the mice for them. When they first start off, when they're first born, we usually end up feeding them just mice, hopper mice, or
in the case of the twins, pinkies.
The twins were about half the size of the other ones. So then it kind of goes up from there. Basically, if you guys just have pets, it's recommended that you feed them once a week. Once they get to full size, you've had them for 3, 4, 5 years. A lot of people do cut back to 2 weeks to a month. but they're hungry, they're animals, they want to eat. So once a week, usually 7 days. Breeders, we do it a little bit different for the females anyway. We split it up with them depending when it gets closer to breeding season. We start getting it closer and closer. So, yeah, go for it.
So with our breeders, we just started in August, kind of getting our breeding females, all the pink tags, kind of getting some of them that were in that not quite big enough range. We want to be 1,500 grams. 1,200 is kind of the minimum that a lot of your big breeders will use. We don't want to stress our animals that much. So on the 1st of August, I went from a 7-day feeding schedule for every animal in all of these racks to the females are on a 6-day now. So every 6 days they get fed. At the end of this month, they're going to go to a 5-day feeding schedule. We did decrease the prey item size a little bit because I'm not trying to get my snakes fat, but they do need to put on some size because breeding takes a lot out of their body. It takes every bit of fat reserve that they have. We were lucky enough to have 2 clutches this year. Both of our females did lose. The big pastel female, she was 1950 before I started pairing her. When she was done laying eggs, she was like 1320. So it takes a lot of their weight off of them, and a lot of them will go off of food once they've started to, definitely once they ovulate. Once they've ovulated, they don't eat, and it's 58 to 65 days from when they ovulate till they lay. That's a lot of time for the males to go without food, and then sometimes they won't go back on food right away. It took 3 weeks for our pastel to go back on food. The kingpin female that laid, she ate 3 days after she laid. But she's always been a power eater anyways. You could put a jumbo in there and she would probably eat it. Try really hard. Yeah, so about the 1st of October is when we're going to start making some pairings, or maybe the middle of October, and then we're going to go to a 4-day feed schedule for all of our breeding females. And then I'm going to continue that up through Christmas, and that should trigger that natural response in them to start building follicles, to start getting ready for breeding season. The prey items are coming more often, and then they're going to start getting the males put into their tubs. So, you know, I would anticipate by December we should start seeing some ovulations. Hopefully by February we're done with that and we're into egg laying, and then we can get a normal breeding year, not like this year has been for everybody. Because normally people have done hatching eggs by now, where there's a whole bunch of breeders out there that don't even have eggs on the ground yet. So you can attest that it's been a really weird year. But a lot of that has to do with the weather outside too. In a setting like this, we can control their entire environment except barometric pressure. And Dave said to me today that all of our snakes were a little testy today. And notice that when it starts to thunderstorm out, they get a little weird. So,
one thing to talk about too is force feeding or having issues feeding your animals. I know that some of you guys are breeders, so you guys don't have to deal with that yourselves. But if you guys have any questions from anybody that you talk to or anything, we're getting pretty good at taking care of them. We actually had one of the major pet stores here contacted us for just a little girl that wasn't doing so well, and we weren't even sure she was going to make it. And she wasn't eating, and we kept trying. So finally, we took the measures to make sure that she was fed. And so now she's not made necessarily a full recovery, but we're pretty sure she's going to make it. She's doing really well. But we had to assist feed her 3 times. But we know how to do that. If you have any snakes, and especially if you recommend anybody to come down and purchase snakes from us or whatever, please tell them that we do have that guarantee that you buy a snake from us, you have any problems with that snake, eating it, whatever, you're just having any issues whatsoever, we're here for you guys. I mean, that's what we do. We want to make sure you break it down, no charge. The only thing is, you know, if we have to feed it and everything, we might say, hey, you just have to pay for the rack or the mice that we use. Other than that, there's no charge for us to keep it for 2 weeks, a month, whatever it takes to get it back to where it needs to be, figure out why it got that way, and then get it back into your home. We care about the animals and we care about you guys. I mean, that's why we're here. We just don't do this. We don't make money doing this yet. So, I mean, but we want that guarantee that the guys know that, yeah, we may charge sometimes a little bit more for snakes, but at the same time, we're here to take them back and take care of you guys. So,
cool. So now we're actually going to get some animals out. Talk a little bit about some morphs. So